The following is brought to you by the Starfleet Podcast Network, SPN, The Spin. BigJ's Beef!
We had talked after the fact of the other episode, and one of the things that I had said was we kind of talked about the mental health piece.
Yes.
So I kind of want to go back to that with the whole data thing.
Okay.
Like they have this android sort of
bipolar android.
Kind of, yeah. But so they've got this really complex neuro net system in there. And, they're really playing up kind of this, thing of him being bipolar, that, he has like this, very logical, reasonable side of data and this crazy side of lore. And, there's this battle back and forth. And I really, I was really struggling a lot with that because, people don't have partitions in their heads. And,
or do they?
We wish. But, it seems almost cruel of Sung to have like built this thing and then left it to its own device to like battle itself out of which personality is going to be the dominant one and take over, or can it even assimilate itself into like an overall thing. So I was really, we see, Data, the actor, like doing such a good job of flipping back and forth. But, I almost feel like there was, before I had said, there was somebody else out there that was pulling the strings for Vadic, that there's no way that Vadic is the top person in here. And now we know, we've seen this like floating goo head a couple times that she is answering to. But I almost feel like was there some contamination of data and lore? They did say lore loves the chaos, but is there something deeper in there? Have they somehow gotten in and done anything in his programming to pull him forwards and get him in on this? So I would be interested to see that too.
Some men just want to watch the world burn. And to me, that describes lore. So you raise a very good point, because if Alton Soong had the ability to transfer whatever this saved copy was of the different personalities or memory engrams of B4, Lal, Alton Soong himself in Data, did I get him? B4, Lore, Data, Alton Soong, 5. Okay. Why would you include Lore? Why would you do that? Because you know how dangerous he is and how just fanatical the guy is. So
erratic.
And erratic, you're right. Why would you choose that? Why would you choose to put your creation, which is as close as you're going to get, which is great. I don't think you can get any closer to being human. Essentially, he's just like Picard, who was also he's a synth. When he died at the end of season 1, his consciousness, memory, brain patterns, all of that stuff was transferred over and imprinted on this new body. So the same thing happened with, they don't even have a name for him yet. We'll just call him Data Lore. That was the name of the episode in Next Generation season 1 that we first were introduced to Lore. So for now, until we get an actual official name, which I don't see them going with just Data, because if they're going to do that, why would they set up this whole thing? But I think, to me, it seems to be a little, I don't know if cruel is the right word to it, but very irresponsible, that if you could pick, you've got these memories and personalities that you can put in a body, why would you knowingly just go ahead and say, well, I want to be a completist and put all of them in here? That includes the psycho. I don't get that. I got a problem with that.
Well, I don't know. Is that the commentary on humanity of everyone is both good and evil? That's the only thing I could think of.
Like everyone can be redeemed.
I don't know, but like if there's going to be a dominance of something, or I just don't see as strong as a personality as Lore was and is in this new synth. I don't see him acquiescing to become a lesser part than just taking over the whole thing. And, I don't see the other ones having even a chance, he is definitely, there was this struggle for Data to come back and find his way to be, in the front, in the primary position, of acting in that body when, he's trying to save the ship and the people on it from all of what Lore was doing. And so, I'm not sure what the redeeming qualities of Lore being included in there would be.
I don't see any. I'm having a very hard time seeing any. And I think that you are already going into a topic that I think is one that you should sort of tread lightly, because you're right. And I didn't think of it this way. You're kind of getting into that mental health kind of aspect of it. And to me, it really feels like, well, the way to portray something like that, or at least the way it comes off, is that if you have a mental health issue, if you're bipolar, that there's a good side and a bad side. And that somehow it's a competition of, well, which one prevails, which one comes out. The thing is that for an actual person here in real life who's going through that, it's not like they asked for that. They didn't ask to be bipolar. They didn't ask, or they didn't choose the kind of personalities that they're wrestling with. But you have this person, this very brilliant cyberneticist that is playing God. I think just playing God and messing around with, well, I'm not really giving that free will per se, or I'm going to make a come at there's got to be a test for it and some work done for it. To me, honestly, I think that it's kind of, and I could be being too harsh here, but making it look bad for people that actually genuinely have mental health concerns.
Well, isn't that, that's kind of the whole thing. If you don't suffer from a mental health issue, you have no idea what it is to live with that and work through that and cope. And so here is another portrayal that probably is someone who has no idea, or may have at one point had a very small kind of thing. Like from my perspective, it is not a person writing this who actually has understood or suffered from a mental health issue. And that's the whole thing, is how can you put that Lore, a personality, in there and say that this makes Data more human just because he's, like, to me, he embodies the evil part and, the recklessness and all of these, the bad choices and everything else. And I don't think that, there's been they had the humor switch with Data and allowing him to experience that, or like the physical kind of sensibilities and things to make him more human. Like, why does he have to have a part of him making bad decisions, or be this person that's doing something that hurts or endangers other people, to me, that's kind of promoting that whole stigma of mental health. And, that's the part that, bothers me a lot with this whole part. I would have rather had seen them somehow. I mean, I like the idea of partitions, but why do we need to have everybody put in there together? Like, he could have included some of the better parts of other things. And I don't know, as far as all of the episodes we've ever seen or all of the information we've ever had from lore, if there is any benefit to him being in there. But as far as what we've depicted so far, it hasn't been.
Well, and let's just lay it out there. Let's just say it. Artificial intelligence, synth, they are dangerous. They can be very dangerous. They've all but destroyed Mars when there was the attack on the rescue fleet that was supposed to evacuate Romulus before it was destroyed. And you would think there have been several times where Data has gone off the rocker. He was able to completely take control of the Enterprise D at one point single-handedly. You've seen what he's capable of. And you see what lore is capable of when I think it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible knowing that how dangerous these androids can be and what we've seen them be able to accomplish. And then, well, here, I'm just going to take this crazy lunatic who can do things to put people in harm's way and just elect to do that. Now I was kind of worried, and when I saw this first part with him and they were kind of like, what's going on? I'm thinking, who hooked him up and left him hooked up when they knew he was having all of these internal issues? I'm thinking, now that's awfully stupid. Don't hook him up to anything.
Which person's job was that? And I get LaForge was down there. Geordi was doing something. The daughter was doing something. But I'm like, why would you have him hooked into like everything? Like, there should be some sort of, external port or some,
because we have not learned our lesson.
Sustained thing that he can't get to the rest of the ship. I mean, I just was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
So that kind of fell on somebody there with. You would think with all his experience, he would not have been letting his daughter plug this machine into like something that could access. But like I said, we don't know what he's been in the Daystrom place. We have no idea what's been going on there. They're pulling him out of there and they don't know really what all that's about. So it's like you pull this thing out and you have no idea what instructions or, information that it's carrying or viruses or whatever else. And you just plug them up to your ship and, you're ready for like anything, hey, let's just go for it. So yeah, I kind of had a little bit of beef with that, like where is the responsibility? And, these people are supposed to be thinking and trained, and you're already in a problem with your ship. You got all these people coming after you that are like blobby and, like can
blobby, I like it.
Take over anybody's face and, just go ahead and add the next layer where you throw your guy in there that's your crazy robot that's all messed up, and hey, we got a good story. So
it's kind of like when you see a flash drive sitting on the ground, on the floor or whatever, and you think,
what's on that?
I'm going to
plug that in and check it out.
I don't know what this is, where it came from, but I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. And folks, just so you know that it is certainly possible to have something on a flash drive that all you have to do is plug it in and completely just F up your computer. So you don't want to do that. Or if you're going to do that,
get a full-size robot with lots of personality problems.
Well,
and just plug it in and see where we end up.
I was going to say use a spare computer, but it's like, look at this guy with his spare computer. Yeah, sure. But right. Yeah. Let's just hook him into the entire ship and let him go wild, which I get it. That data is in there somewhere and you trust that, but hell, too much of a risk. And I think that you raised another very good point, was that they may not have had the intention or the thought of going into making this relate to mental health. I'm sure that's something that we're talking about. The writers may not have, I'm sure they probably didn't think, well, this is how this is going to be interpreted. But you're right. With that being said, it's just yet another thing where you have someone who does not know, hasn't experienced that. Well, we don't know who wrote this whole thing.
But we got Jack Crusher too, and he's having hallucinations,
visions,
auditory things go on. I mean, his problems are very much of a mental state as well. So I really this whole thing with the Data Sung robot is not the first time that we've seen this. So, I think this whole season so far, we've had some issues with where we talked about previously in the bar when there's kind of that breakdown of Captain Shaw.
Oh yeah.
Basically verbally attacking Picard over, everything that happened to, the people that were on his ship. And, you see him kind of cracking, you see Picard saying, oh no, he's, he's right. But we also understand at that point that Picard had been, locutus at that point. So we're talking about, here's another person who's been taken out of their normal functioning and had computer parts or whatever stuck into them and is being controlled by something else. Now, for some of us, that could be the commentary of, food or drugs or other things or stress even. We're seeing stress being this major factor of really that whole mental piece there. So I've seen this theme, this is about the fourth or fifth time now through this season. So I do think that that's really, I kind of missed out on talking about it, that episode with, the whole ship thing with Shaw and everything. And
when he's talking about what happened on the USS Constance during Wolf 359, and just do a quick review for just a reminder. So basically Captain Liam Shaw was in the holodeck. They had a holodeck bar going on. This is a few episodes back when they thought the ship was everyone thought that was it. They were going to die. So they all gathered in the bar and he recounted the story of his perspective on his ship during Battle of Wolf 359, and that there was one life pod. They had 50 people. Life pod had room for 10. And they weren't trying to fight over who lives and who dies. They waited for orders. So Lieutenant comes down and just starts pointing, you. And Shaw got pointed to as number 10. And he felt like he didn't deserve it. Why was he getting picked? He's what he said, I'm just a dipshit from Chicago. And he suffers that survivor's guilt. And on top of that, now your first officer is an ex-Borg. You have the person who led the entire attack on your ship as well, with his former first officer causing all kinds of problems. And basically you are around this constant reminder. And he had friends on that ship. And like he said in the bar, Picard was talking about Jack Crusher, and they were best friends. Sounds like spent a lot of time together, and which I totally get. And Shaw said that these people on this ship, they were all his Jack Crusher. And he lost so many people. And now he's having to work alongside and see his ship and his life and the life of his crew put at risk by the person that he basically, I think, still sees as Locutus. Mm-hmm. And how did I get here? How did we end up here?
Well,
what was the point I was trying to make? Where was I docking this ship? I
don't know, but it just occurred to me when you're going back through that. Remember, I had kind of questioned why Shaw was such an asshole. Excuse me, language.
This is not a kid's show. Go ahead. Just let the expletives fly.
Well, to 7 of 9. And now it makes sense that we now know the backstory of what he's got the survivor's guilt that he's carrying around. And this must be what, like she's directly under him. And, so why are you taking this person that isn't fully a person or has been reclaimed as a person? I mean, I don't know exactly what her link still is or what she obviously has some artificial implants that you can see. So definitely, that's one of those things that would be easily.
Well, she was assimilated as a child.
Okay.
As a young child. And she was liberated basically while she was on the USS Voyager.
So she was a grown adult though?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, I think her visual implants, her visual implants, like that's just one of those things that's, right there for him to, kind of discriminate against because he's like looking right at her.
It's right there. He sees it.
So it's that constant reminder. So I kind of get that now that we're talking about that, why he was being the way he was. But, and not that makes it right. But I do think, his whole their whole situation of like, oh, we're all going to die. So, we're going to spend the last few moments. And these are the things that are flashing through his head. We're talking about the stress and how that's causing kind of a mental crack for him. And, we've seen him kind of come back from that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where do they lead with all of this with Jack? Because he has said there is something very wrong. I've always felt different. I don't feel right. And it's interesting as Beverly's been a doctor all this time, well before he was ever conceived and born and growing up. Why has she not caught on to any of this? So if it was just the diagnosis from that disorder that from Picard that he had received, you would think that there would have been like, why is she not seeing any of this? And he goes, and we don't see it all on camera, but there is a discussion between him and Picard about what's going on with him. So Picard's a little more aware, but we don't know exactly what was shared. So is Picard fully aware that he is having hallucinations and auditory things besides the visuals and everything, and does now he's like being able to read somebody's mind. So right. I think this is a far stretch, but where are they going to lead us with all this?
And that's what I'm really curious to see. I like the angle that you had with how this episode in particular and how the season in general has been dealing with the past traumas and current mental stress, the issues that are happening, which is that on top of this whole stealing Picard's former body to use it in some way to sabotage the entire fleet, I think is...
And nobody knows about Jack but the people on this ship right now.
Right.
So
that's correct. So what is it that he has that's so important? And he said maybe it's got to be more than just a blood transfusion thing, because that would be retreading Star Trek Nemesis with Shinzon needing basically Picard's blood.
Well, and we forgot or I forgot until now. Like, are we being set up for an entire like war in Starfleet? Because we know that there have been all these people before where we knew that there was some deception going on, and they said, oh, it's the changelings and they've taken positions in Starfleet. But I don't think they could have all gotten in there without help. So I'm wondering if we're getting a big setup for the people that are upset with some of the things going on, or, you know, like Picard or whatever else. What are they going to spin this into? Because I feel like they could be setting this up for like a whole big another war.
Dominion War 2?
Yeah. Not just with the changelings.
Well, so the right now, these changelings are being labeled as rogues. So they're not working under the official flag or leadership of the Great Link. Basically, these changelings are being disavowed. They're not being recognized officially.
Because they're like a subspecies.
Well, no, not a subspecies, just a rogue group.
But they're genetically different than the other changelings. So
and we don't know if the other ones have evolved like these ones have.
I don't think so.
Well,
I mean, from the way that the hints have been, this seems like this was a small group of the Vadic, and then spread to the 9 people, and then they're spreading stuff to others. So I feel like there's a subgroup.
There was only one changeling. No, that was the part I didn't quite get. Was there just this one changeling that was being experimented on, or were there?
No, there was they said there were like I think 8 or 9 of them in jars in there. And so they were all being experimented on. I mean, at least that was my takeaway, was that
but they're able to spread this thing to other.
Well, somehow I think Vadic was able to come out of that goo and transform into this new type of changeling, and then went and shared whatever the properties were and helped those other changelings become like her. And then, so I don't know. I mean, so what is it that she needs to do to share? Because she said something about connecting to Jack. So there's something I feel like, that, and here's this thing where we go back to seeing him share whatever it is with Geordie's daughter, with the eyes
Sydney
and Cindy. So
no,
Sydney.
Sydney. Yeah,
Sydney.
I said Sydney. You said Cindy.
We'll get it right at some point.
We're having a bad night because we're both old, slow.
That's what it
tired.
is.
That's what I'm going to claim it is. It can't be anything else.
It's this weather.
It's the weather, yes.
Spring.
Oh my God.
Our cobwebs need to be cleaned out of our brains.
For real. Well, and plus we're in an area where we experience, it's not odd for us to go through 2 or 3 seasons in a day.
Yeah.
Or in a week. So if I sound nasally, then that's why my bones hurt, joints are not doing well. But so anyway, in regards to the whole war thing, if they officially recognize this group, then there would have to be a declaration of war, which was what was talked about, I think, prior episode. I think that should happen anyway, but that's beef for another time. This one that we had tonight sounds like you and I are on the same page. Was that if they, whether knowingly or unknowingly, dipped into the waters of mental health, is that maybe it's kind of setting it. Well, it's not their responsibility to be the advocates of it, so I can't say that I would accuse them of setting it back or anything like that. But I think my takeaway from it is the choice. You don't have the choice, and it being made for you, like Alton Soong did, makes it even a little worse. Okay, yeah. You're right, Jay.
I don't know. I'm really glad I'm definitely not having, I don't know. I could use
crazy.
I could use some partitions in my brain, but
folks, let me just tell you.
But yeah, I don't envy the data sung version of this.
I thought you already had a couple partitions as it is.
I wish. They've all failed if there were any in there to begin with.
Yeah, every partition in this lady has failed and crashed. You know, nothing I can do. I've tried, but hey, you know, it's the brain damage. Hit your head too many times. I know I have. But
speak for yourself.
Nope. You crazy, I'm crazy, they're crazy. We're all crazy. We've all got a little bit of craziness. So we're
speaking about something we know about. The sea.
Yeah, see, that's right. We know.
You know?
We are the authority. We know about this stuff. So we can tell you.
Yeah. So that's
any closing thoughts that you've got or observations you want to make?
No, but if you see my eyes glowing, you better know to get out of the way.
If I see your eyes glowing, I'm just going to scream, what the
Where's the beef?
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your ears. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.